It's another episode of that works vehicle that's actually a project that is going to be the works vehicle. Enjoy it. But before we do, can you check you are subscribed? And if you're not, why not? Comment down below. Like and dislike. All of these things help promote my channel. There you go. If you fancy contacting me, then it's Church House Classics, and that's all one word, at gmail.com. Bear in mind, I'm a one-man outfit, and my inbox gets flooded, so I will get back to you, but it may not be 10 seconds after I receive the email. So please be patient. And if you fancy supporting the channel or just buying me a pint, then there's a PayPal me link scrolling down here. Both email and PayPal me link are in the description below this feature. Enough talking about it. Stop gabbing on about it and let's get on with it. So, spot welds. In this particular case, rather than a spot weld drill, what I'm probably going to be doing is just drilling holes and then drilling right the way through, because this piece, which is the outer sill, is sacrificial. That piece I want to keep, but I need to drill a hole through that anyway. It's actually a lot better down here than it was on the other side. Oh no, it's not. It's gone there. I put my finger through it. I think once all the trim and everything comes out, we'll be able to see. Okay, got all of the original sound deadening off with one of these. Quite easily gets underneath there and lifts it like that. Okay, people moan to me that I tend to do lots of stuff, say what I'm going to do, and then not video any of it. So there you go, that was that. Now, first sweep now. We'll sweep it out of this rather convenient hole here at the front. I'll clear up off the floor in a minute, and we'll see where we are. We will see. There's a hole there, which is a shame. That's all right, we can fix that though. Nice big sheet of maybe cereal box with some glass fibre over the top should fix this, I reckon. Well, that can all go down there. Now, okay, we can see what we're doing now. So the sill goes along that line there and this line here. So I need to find all the spot welds along here and drill those out. There's holes here, here, here. I'd imagine I'm going to end up doing it much the same as I did the other side, which is chop it all out and weld it all in. Now there's a line there, that would have been the original line for the bulkhead down part, and then you've got another infill panel here, and the gearbox cover goes up that line there to about there. So I need to make localised repair to the gearbox cover. That piece I can make up in instantly, and the sill, this top section of the sill, is going to get replaced anyway. So I'm not particularly bothered about any of this. In fact, do we just chop it out, or do we drill it and then chop it out? I don't know. I don't know what's the easiest way of doing this. Having done one side already, I think it's going to be to chop it out. So what I'll do then is I'll run an angle grinder along here, reciprocating saw through, and we'll see if we can't chop it all out. I'm not going to video me angle grinding shit, folks. People tell me my content's boring, but honestly, there's nothing as boring as listening to an angle grinder screeching. Where's the angle grinder? There it is. Might need to put another disc on that. Right, onwards. And then, courtesy of Mr. Reciprocating Saw, we have removed the lion's share of the sill. Now, this body mount here, there wasn't an awful lot left of the top edge of it. So, although the majority of the outer sill and inner sill to a certain extent at this end of the car looked serviceable. It's been patched already a number of times. Forget it. I think once they've been patched once, they really are. They're past it. So then I use Mr. Wire brush wheel. Wear eye protection, folks. Those little wires, they like to fly off. And also don't work in direct line of it. So when you're using it, use it like that. Don't use it like that where you're looking at it. I know it sounds obvious, but there are some ham-fisted gibbons out there that really are. Look at that. Is that tape? That was tape. I wonder what the tape was on there for. Chassis paint underneath there. Anyway, we get easily distracted here, Richard. So then what I do is I use my pen that writes on turds just to go along and dot the spot welds, all of which I need to drill out. I need to get in there really to see what's going on. Seen that lot. These ones are quite easy. One there as well. One there. 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 And then what I do, it's really just start with a 4mm drill and then go through with something like an 8mm drill. Separate this lower lip from the gearbox cover, and that's the remains of the outer sill. I could, in theory, put the new sill over the top of this, but I need to cut that lot out anyway over there. You can see all over here. It's not looking great. So pretty much exactly the same as the passenger side then. Yes, well, never mind. We are where we are. Yeah, so I'm going to get busy drilling some spot welds. I'm leaving this in place for the time being, purely because I've not taken the door off, and this is actually supporting the A-pillar quite nicely. So I don't need to remove that. We'll get all of the work done. That'll be the last piece I take out, I think. And before I do that, I'll probably take the door off anyway. Yeah. I've seen worse. I think it does get to the stage where you can't patch these things up anymore. You've really just got to cut them off and commit to it. And I reckon it's about... Well, I'll time it up when I get to the end of it and tell you how many hours I've spent doing this. Right, so drilled holes through. So it's drilled 6mm, my sharpest drill bit. One drill bit, drilled the lot. Then I've got a nice step drill. And the step drill goes into pilot hole, takes it out to about 8mm, good for a plug weld. Alright, I don't need to go too far with that. And then chisel, chisels never die. It just separates the remains of the outer sill from the gearbox cover. Every now and then you'll find one. There we are, that one went. That one's gone already. That one's gone. This is how I drill spot welds. Really, really, really dead straightforwards. Now, if I carry on, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more. One. Right. Now I think most of these are actually going to come straight off. There we are. Oh, have we missed one? No, it's just a little bit on the tight side. And what we've got here is we've got slugs of seam weld up here on this end. So it's possibly just that's causing my my restriction. So if we come around over this side now, then we'll look at the rear floor support. And much the same. running flat. Like I said, these holes I'm comfortable, confident that I'm going to be able to plug weld through these. That's quite a thick one. Right, it's gone through the lip on the edge of the sill, isn't it? And that's underneath there. That's gone. Now, I thought there might be a spot weld here, and sometimes the only way really to find them is to get your chisel in there and see where it feels like it wants to pull from, and it's not pulling from anywhere along there, so that's good news. That is all off. Now, if I were to get Mr. Reciprocating Saw, borrow the battery, which is almost flat, the other one's being charged up, take you out of the way because otherwise you're going to end up falling on the floor. Go over here. Come down now, see, and we end up with a nice edge of the gearbox cover for me to work with. That's pretty much how I do it, because a lot of people asked me last time, how on earth did you get the sill off? You didn't show us. Yeah, with brute force. Brute force. Right, okay, I'm going to carry on. I need to get some of these off at the back here, but what I might do, because the battery's running low now, so I need to charge my batteries up. I don't know what time it is. It is 3 o'clock. I need to be gone by 5. So I might charge the batteries, get the rest of this interior out. I need to get the rear seat out. These bolts, by the way, that hold the rear lower part of the seat, they always snap off. Always. So I just snap them off and then drill them through. Very, very, very rare for them to come out intact. Doesn't matter how much cleaning and whatever else you do. For some reason they put bolts in them like about that long, and all they're doing is going through the floor, and so the other end of it gets horrendously corroded. The other thing I'll need to take off is I need to take the seatbelt reel off and get that removed. As you can see, I've already done the pivot point for the floor. The bolt snapped off. There it is down there. Some accessory wiring for something, probably another rear light or something. All of this wiring, by the way, was trapped. And again, this was all live. This was trapped under the floor. Look, scuffed right the way through. So, and that went to the live terminal on the battery. So yeah, like I say, there was some gibbonry in here. Rear floor looks good there, doesn't it? Right. It's not getting this apart though, is it, Richard? Let's get it apart. All the trim came out okay. Most of it is held in with poppers. Just find the poppers, get a pry bar behind the panel, lever it away. It's a nice big one goes in there, and there's a couple at the back there. The only mistake I made, and I'm a bit fucked off with myself about it, was I couldn't get this side piece out. So I gave it a good old tug. And of course, it's held in by a screw underneath that little arch there, which is there to support the tailgate, the boot surround. Now, there's probably not an awful lot holding this head lining up at the moment. A couple of grab handles, I might take it out. Anyway, that's not what we're supposed to be doing here. What is good on this side is the majority of the original inner wing section, which is folded back and goes across and onto the sill, is still there. So perhaps on this side I don't need to remove or break the seal with the outer wing. I'll see. I might just need to, you know, sort of loosen the bottom edge so I can get the B pillar repair in, or I might just make a localised repair to the bottom edge of the B pillar. The cage that goes around the seatbelt. So this is not a structural piece; it's just a cage that supports the there's a cover that goes over the top of it. Where's the cover? One of these buckets that goes over the top there, like that. So it just really kind of gives that some location. It's not looking great. It's kind of rotted along 2 of the 3 sides. So what I might just do is just chop it across there, and then get the cage off the car. If I run a reciprocating saw straight down this edge here, I might even be able to drill the spot welds actually, but we'll see. Get the cage off the car, and then I can put it back on again afterwards because it'll be out of the way. And on the other side, I was definitely having problems with the cage being in the way when I was putting the sill back in. That is not supposed to be happening. It's raining. It's not supposed to be happening. Not today. Got all the electrics out. Oh, you bastard. Anyway, I'm going to crack on with this. I say it all the time, folks. So at the back end here, very clearly, we've got the sill, and it comes up to this point here. Now, if I brush the crap here, you can see that there's a triangular section that runs like that. This is part of that piece there, and if you remember, I had to rebuild it on the other side, but it goes around that there, goes around that edge. So really, it gives access to the bolt hole, because this actually looks to be in really good order. So what I might do is drill the spot welds along here, bend this piece up so I can get the sill into place, and then do it from there. Right, a few more spot welds to drill. And with the help of a reciprocating saw and an angle grinder and a hammer, we've got the rear section out. Now don't worry about all of that crap down there. Oh, I get myself down here. Let me go in here. This chunk here is all to do with the lower wheel arch, and that's repaired from the wheel arch side. So I'll take all of that out. A triangular piece, you've seen, bent upwards without too many problems. Let's try and stop clattering this fucking camera around. What I could do is a whole production bloody team working with me saying, yes, Richard. Just see how much of this is actually just seam sealer and not a lot else. Most of it. So it's all seam sealer. That's all else. So I think really from the wheel arch side I can chop the lower edge of the arch off. This piece down here is the outer wing, inner wing, boat floor. So with that in mind, we have almost got everything out we need to get out in order to make this repair. Now one thing I did think of, because I need to make this repair to the bottom of the B post here, but before I put the sill on, I can weld it from the inside. That's a good idea, and I don't have to break this seal here. It might be a bit easier. So B post is now floating, A post is held on the top of the chassis. That was the rear end of the sill, as you can see. It kind of collapsed a little bit. Just been there a bit too long. And the debris pile is impressive on this, really impressive. It's all of this shit down here has come off this one job. Anyway, we are more or less there. I have got a couple of welds here to cut through. So there's a big slug there and there's another slug there, which are the forward edge of the sill. And I might chop this floor section out and then call it a day. Might just happen. I'm quite pleased with that. The only problem I've got here, and this always bloody happens, is the bolt goes through this top hat section here. and they seize in solid. So I'm going to just get in there with a reciprocating saw and just chop the tube off the big washer at the bottom, and that may release it. And then obviously I just need to use new washers. I'm bad because I tend to keep the old rubbers, the old body rubbers, because these, and this will probably be original to the car, 1994 body rubber, will be in far better shape this time next year than some of the reproductions that are out there. Sad state of affairs, isn't it, really? Yeah, that's been a magnificent day's work. Not only just cutting this sill out, but obviously stripping down the front end, getting the interior out. It's been a wedge of work. So I've been here since about 11 o'clock, and we are now coming up for 4 o'clock. So that's about 5 hours work there. 5 hours fairly intensive work to get it to that sort of stage. Just got to put it back together now. That's not going to be difficult. I'm not going to do that today because I'm running out of welding time, and I need to be home at 5. So I'm not going to really worry too much about that. The door still closes, so that's fine. I might just pop the seal back in. To be honest though, if it's going to rain and water's going to get in there, it's going to go straight down through the floor anyway, isn't it? And then my scrap wheelie bin, not with my nice speaker on it, my scrap wheelie bin will get filled up, and then this can go over to Ben over the road. In fact, there's the remains there of the old passenger side centre section of the sill. For some reason I've still got it. Right, I'm feeling a bit more buoyed about this now. Once this sill goes on, I can be a shitload happier. Shitload happier. And it's all on the floor. Right, okay, had to cut it out in a number of sections, but that makes good sense to do so, because it gives you access then to keep the bits that you need to keep. Now, you will notice a hulking great hole at the front end here, and that's down here. I might end up remaking that completely. There is literally, that piece is any good. The rest of it is shit. The more I got tapping with it, the more holes I found. So I'm going to have some fun with that. Now obviously I've got the fuel lines directly below. That shouldn't present too many problems, because we're working with diesel, not petrol. And also I'll be able to use the blankets in order to protect what's going on. Although the A-post itself is in good order, and on the inside is good order, I opted to chop it off. It just makes life so much bloody easier, and it then allows me to decide whether I'm going to separate the remains of the inner and outer sill from the A-post, or just replace the A-post. I suspect at this stage I'm just going to replace the bottom of the A-post. I've got the repair panel already. It is sitting right here. These A-posts come from DDS, as do all of my parts, and they're all right. The only issue I've got with them is they're designed to weld over the top of the original remains, and what I tend to do is I'll cut it down the middle and I'll butt weld it up against. Okay, but now that's out, there's still good rigidity in here, because we're connected up to the footwell on the bulkhead, the majority of it, and also the inner wing, and you know, I can hang the door back on that and it's not going to move a millimetre. So that was the main reason for chopping that off in its entirety. It just didn't make any sense at all hanging on to it. And as you can see here, the inside edge was starting to go underneath the dreaded Land Rover seam seal. These things only ever really rot underneath the seam seal, and I think that's largely because the surfaces weren't painted, so that's why they rot. But I'm not going to complain, because this thing is 29 years old. It's not doing bad, is it? Better get it finished before the government bans us from driving cars. So that's going to go on. Right, I don't know what I'm going in there for. That I'm going to remake up completely. And I think now I'm in a position to start slotting this sill in. Now, I've chopped off the rot on the base of the B-post. I might be able to make a localised repair. What I want to do is get the sill roughly in position first and foremost. And then I can decide whether that's going to be practical or not. But before I do that, this lot needs to go into the scrap bin. And I can walk that over tomorrow. I don't need any of those bits at all. It's all shite. But there you go. That so far today, I have spent half an hour on this. So we're 5.5 hours in on this job. It's about right. It really is about right. Sunday morning, had a nice coffee with the missus, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to go and get this sill lined up. At least if I can get it on the car and tacked into place, then I can start working around and getting the rest of this finished, which would be nice, wouldn't it, really? Really would be nice. Right, so we are 1 o'clock. I've got this more or less mounted now on its body mounts. Just kick that there to line it up with the bottom of the A pillar, and we're lined up with the bottom of the B pillar. Now really all I do is I'll drill a couple of 4mm holes and then use some Acme screws or something just to pull the floor together, and I'm going to weld it together. I'm going to weld the floor to the gearbox cover and get this piece done. Then I can start fucking around with this piece over here, decide what I'm going to do there. So far so good. I managed to avoid the twist. I don't understand fully how the twist got in on the other side. I think because I seam welded, and although I did slugs, and you can see where I did the slugs, while I did slugs on the other side and then filled it in, for some reason it twisted the panel really badly. And on this side it hasn't done that at all. It is entirely possible that the outer sill was bent before I welded it together, because I didn't check it. And I'll show you how I check these. So there it is. It's a nice carpenter's square, very useful tool. And the floor, the sill, this is not a right angle, this join here, this is not a right angle. The floor slopes up while the edge is vertical. So if I put this on here, you will see that you end up with that sort of angle. And all I really did on this side was just make sure I had the same sort of angle all the way along. Okay? That was really all I did on this side before I went, and I couldn't find a problem. I wish I'd done that with the other side, but never mind. We've managed to get the other side fine. I've managed to adapt to it. Right. Belt sander. So I just need to really just clean up around each of these holes. Then I'm going to plug them and then put a little slug next to the plug in each of those cases, and that should do that. As far as the overall dimensions of the sill are concerned, let me just get my rag inside. As far as the overall dimensions of the sill are concerned, you can see here it has lined up more or less exactly with where the old sill lined up, front to back. So I'm comfortable with that, and as you can see I've loosely fitted the mounts front and back. Put the bolt at the back in upside down, because when they were putting it at the factory the bolt was dropped in from the top and then the nut was on the bottom, which means that you can't easily change the bushes. Now I've reused the old bushes that I took off here, and they appear to be fine. If I had some Clecos, then I'd use those instead, but I haven't got Clecos, so I'm just going to drill a couple of holes and use some Acme screws. And if you don't know what Acme screws are, or tech screws, or whatever you want to call them, they're great for holding panels together until you weld. They look almost exactly like these. They've just got a washer and a shoulder on them. Probably need a couple of these. Try and get two the same size. That'll do. Just save me pissing around with the bag. There you go. Welcome to Acme screws. Now I'll just measure the diameter of these and I'll drill the hole slightly smaller so that I can then, and what I'll do is drill the hole into the top edge of the outer sill and then use the big washer through one of the existing plug holes in order to pull the panel up nice and tight. That was a success. So, using the tech screws to pull the panels together, I'm able to put some fairly good welds all the way around to join the outer sill to the gearbox cover and to the rear floor section. I'm happy enough with all of that. I've just put a tag there. The B post is still floating. I'm going to make up a localised repair to cover this section where it goes down, so I shall weld it to that, probably push it up underneath, and then lap weld it, and then build up the box section around there. The majority of the box section is accessible without me taking the back wing off, so we're going to do that. Now, front A post. So what I've done here, let's just take this off, is taken the repair panel, chopped a slot in the top corner there, so that when this is all kind of lined up, I can bash that into place, and I'm going to weld it in. That's kind of what it was doing on the car just now, all ready for me to weld in. The only thing I'm going to need to do is to build up the semicircle that goes from there to there. So it's like a triangular of steel, like that, but up here. And that's really just to close the gap on the door seal as it comes around here. You don't want that gap there. So with that on, and the leading face, I can hang the door back on again. Still not quite sure what I'm going to do about this lot. I think I'm concentrating my efforts at the moment on, do you know what, let's get the sill welded in. And the weather is going to turn in the next hour or so, so no more outside work for me. But that's not a huge issue, because I'm actually really pleased with the progress on this job now. So it's probably been about an hour and a half, nearly 2 hours today, of fabrication, lining up, bolting up, prepping, welding, and yeah, I can bin that piece then. That's the remains of the leading edge of the sill, and the body mounting, and the bottom edge of the A-pillar. I know I probably could have kept the bottom part of the A-pillar, but by the time I've taken that all off there, I'll just use this. It's fine, it'll do the job. Once that's welded in, and I ground the welds back and a tiny skim of filler over it, you're never going to notice it. And it is quite a common rot point on these cars. Now, one thing I will do before I weld this on, and that's a good reminder looking at that, there's no drain hole on these as supplied, so I need to drill a fucking great hole right there, so that any moisture that gets in can either go out through the inner sill or straight down onto the ground. On the left-hand passenger side, that was completely bunged up, which is why the bottom of the A-pillar was completely rotted out on the other side. Now, the other thing I have got here is I've got this section, which I've got one spot weld remaining on, so I can put that back in, and that's got the bottom fixing for the wing, so that can get welded back on as well. On the inside, where I've just chopped it away, I'll just put a piece of steel just to box it back in again. It's going to look fine. Like I say, I'm really pleased that that has gone in a lot easier than the other side. And I was nervous at the other side because I've not worked on a two-door Discovery before. A two-door Range Rovers are a piece of piss because you just unbolt the back wing. But two-door Discoveries, while you can unbolt the back wing, it's a much more involved job. Right, the weather is closing in on me, so I'm going to get this welded on so I can hang the door. And we've got some strength back in the front end here. Okay, a smally skim of filler over that joint, and once that's top coated, I think that's going to look pretty good. I'm quite pleased with it. It will do the job. It will do the job. Tidier than the other side anyway. Right, now, I've then got on to welding a flat piece of steel, which is super hot still, to connect the B pillar to the outer sill. And now this is rock solid. I'm going to make up the closing section of the B post down here and tack that into place. And then, more or less, the outer part of the car on the sill is done. I still need to address this mess in here, but that might not be a today job. That might be a later on type job. It's better than a kick in the face. Oh, that's warm still. Right, okay. Yes, I need to make a half moon or whatever it is section for down there. This can go in the recycle now. Thank you very much. Right. Starting to feel like it's getting somewhere. I might not have time to make that repair to the bottom of the sill. That is closing in fast. It said it was going to come in at about 3 o'clock. 3 to 4 o'clock this afternoon, it said, and we are currently 2:45 on my workshop clock. So what I might actually do here is start to tidy up, hang the door back on, so at least everything's a bit on the weather tight side, because I think that when that arrives, that's going to be monsoon, like it was yesterday. Maybe I can work in the workshop out what the fuck I'm going to do with that, which I think is just replace it in its entirety. Just give up on it. And then, really, very much like I did on the left-hand passenger side, was I'll make up an angled section, quite a wide angled section, that I can then weld onto the edge of the transmission tunnel. That way, I've got access to put my hand behind it to stop the flames, because this underseal does not like burning. And once I've got that angled section in, then I just weld a flat piece on the floor, front to back. Yeah, I think so. I do. Right, a good couple of hours of work there, folk. Chap, whatever your name is. I reckon about 3 hours work today, on top of the whatever it was I said yesterday, 5. So it's 8 hours so far to get this to this sort of stage, and that is still very hot, Richard. Even up here. Don't put your hand up there, chap. Yes, I've not even done the bolts up yet for the sill to the chassis, but it's firm enough. I mean, it's beautiful. It'll do the job. Right, I'm going to pack up because I'm getting a drop of rain on me already. It's back on its hinges. I just dropped a screw in there rather than the punch, so I can easily remove that when I need to get the door off later on. Lobbed the seal back on. There we go, seal's back on. Does it shut? It does. Are the gaps about right? They are. Right, that's not a bad effort, that, Richard. I don't mind saying so myself. Now, somewhat annoyingly, this is fucking leaking. Which has really pissed me off. So I don't know where it's leaking. Whether it's the pipe into the regulator or what. But that's why it's in the workshop. I'm going to fix that.